All right, welcome back to the all-new episode of the Rise and Bind podcast from Advisor Evolve. My name is Chris Langille. I'm the host, and I'm pleasantly, not even really pleasantly surprised, but I'm super excited to have on the call today a longtime customer, a friend of mine, and a guy that is going to deliver some really great advice today about how your agency can get started with video. Mr. Mike Crowley from Crowley Insurance. What is up, my brother?
What's up, Chris? Thanks for having me.
Hey man, it's been too long, and it's you were on the list of people to reach out to when we started this podcast, and love what you do, and you have a lot of knowledge when it comes to video, and wanted to get you on here, man, and get your advice and experience, because as you know, Advisor Evolved, we've built our tech around video, in large part with our video proposal tool and our social reels integration from YouTube. And video is something that we believe heavily in. We know that it works, it converts, and you're a living testament of that. And we'll talk about that as we get through this. But and by the way, as the founder here, as a parent also of two kids, and you have kids too, we'll never say as a parent like we have a favorite kid, and I can't ever say like I have a favorite customer, because we have quite a few of them, but you're definitely high on the list, man. I appreciate you. And like I said, you've been with us for a while. I feel like since the very beginning. And I appreciate you very much, man, for being on this wild ride with us.
Hey, likewise, we took I don't even say we took a stab at Advisor Evolved back in the early days before Advisor Evolved was what it is today. But what attracted me initially was the brain power behind you and where you came from. And obviously, as great as the websites are, there's a billion website companies, and it's so much more than a website that Advisor Evolved brings. And it's been a testament over these past, 8 years or so, 8-9 years or whatever it is, that you continue to deliver for your customers. And in a insurance industry specific, tech driven, many different vendors and companies, you are still by far the cream of the crop of the people that every other tech company should look at. It's you build something, but you eat and breathe it every single day. It doesn't mean you don't have teams of people that help you. It doesn't mean this, but like you are still the person behind it, and you're not looking to just build and sell off. You're not trying to get a bunch of your, relationships and friends to sign on board, teach you to do a little things and then say peace out. And, that's the way everybody should look to build as a tech company and as a vendor, because when you build the trust, you don't have to ask too many, Facebook groups or phone calls or, roundtable discussions when people ask, I need a new website vendor. I need, somebody to help with my marketing. I need this. And the amount of times Advisor Evolved is 95% of the answers just as a testament to what you do. So,
Awesome.
I appreciate and wear a badge of honor to be a customer of Advisor Evolved.
That's awesome, dude. And by the way, guys, I did not pay or tell Mike to say any of that. Yeah.
No.
I appreciate it, man. Let's talk about video. So you have been crushing it with video for a long time. We tell a lot of our agents when they ask a question, like, how can we leverage our website more? We want to generate more leads. We want to build our digital footprint. And my answer almost 98% of the time is you have to start making video content. And there's a lot of ways to do that. And we'll give some tips. I have some tips. I'm sure that you have some tips. We'll deliver on that as we talk through this. But you got started with video a while ago, and I'm looking at your YouTube channel now, and you have like over 200 videos. You have a bunch of views, some really good educational content. And folks, it's not easy to get more than like 10 subscribers on an insurance agency YouTube channel. You have almost 700, which is, that's not normal. That's awesome. So congrats on that. But tell us your sort of story and like, how you go about video, doing video, and maybe like what your tech stack is and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So it has been a while since I started. I would say that I've never stayed consistent throughout the 7-8 years that I probably did video, at least from like a YouTube prospect marketing outreach type video. Where video really kicked off and where it's been the cream of the crop for us has always been the inbound, the video proposals, the current customer service and retention tools, the frequently asked questions that customers ask, and we respond with a video, the renewals that we go over for our commercial clients, doing it through video. That has been consistent from the beginning. So we got very comfortable being on video, whether it's being on a call like this, where you're talking to somebody. This is all pre-COVID. This is all before people were doing video calls all day long. This is where we just decided this is a big piece and it's only going to get more. And we saw the positivities from not even just the insurance community, being one of the first few agencies that got into video many years ago, but the consistent in the brand building in the local community. So our agency is very heavy, a generalist agency in a local town. We write in one state. We're not national. And so for us, we do a lot of it from a brand relationship aspect. And it works really well for that. People expect to see video from us. They expect to see it in a proposal for a new customer. They expect to see it on our YouTube, our Facebook, LinkedIn. They're expecting to see it because that's what they've grown to know. And it's allowed for us to play around with a lot of pieces to this. One of the questions I get asked all the time is like, oh, who does your editing? Or who does this? And who does this? And it's, again, because people are thinking, big picture. All right, what camera do you use? And it's like, you don't need anything. Like,
yep.
Especially now, there's so much tools available that's going to help you through AI that, it's even easier now than when I started. I mean, you can use your camera or your webcam or your phone camera or your webcam and nothing else. You don't need fancy anything. You don't need fancy microphones. You don't need anything. You just need to make sure that you record something in a decent space that's not going to have a ton of, background noise, and learn a little bit of editing just in case you do. Right. So there's times I edit a video here, sitting here, and I have my staff outside the door talking, having phone calls, phones ringing, all that kind of stuff. And I just learned how to edit background noise out. And it takes me 15 seconds. Like, it's just a quick little thing, but now I'm able to not use that as an excuse not to hit record. And we continue to just play around. We continue to play around and see what is working, what's not working. And we've learned a lot along the way. But my overall goal has always been to be able to build relationships with my customers and prospects in my community and find ways to do that. Because when people want to buy insurance, which they don't, but when they have to buy insurance, they'd rather buy it through somebody that they know, like, and trust. And if it's a great way for us to build those relationships in today's world, especially since our agency is a local footprint, and that's all we're ever going to be. We're not looking to go bigger. We're not looking to go national. We write in one state in New York. We enjoy writing in one state. We don't need to grow it anymore from that perspective. And I just want to be the insurance person people think of when they think of insurance in my local community.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. There's so many good points in that. There's a lot of opportunity too, because for every one Mike Crowley that does video on a pretty much regular basis, there's 3,000 agencies that are afraid to do it or afraid to get started or don't do it. So there's a lot of opportunity for agencies that are doing video to stand out from the crowd. And, we talk about this a lot. There's an insurance agency on every corner in every town. How are you going to differentiate yourself from the crowd? Video is a great way to do that. I was talking to a friend of mine who's another digital marketing, digital agency owner, good friend of mine. And he's like, our new marketing department for our marketing agency is our YouTube channel. He's like, we want to push everybody there because our YouTube channel does the selling for us. And the amount of organic, opportunities that we've gotten in the last 2 years of posting consistent video has far outweighed anything else that we've done. And it's interesting because we have agencies that come to us quite a bit, and they're like, we're going to hire this company to do blogs on our website, or they're going to do these posts on our Facebook. And I'm like, dude, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But, if you're going to pay somebody to do something, the hope is that it's video related, right? Yeah. Because that's where the ROI is. There's a lot of data out there, and just written content in general. People are not consuming blogs and written walls of text anymore. It's just, we're in a social media world. We're in a scrolling, everything's video now. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I mean, it's overrun by video. You're not seeing still images and still image ads. It's all video. Yeah. So that's telling you where user behavior is going and search behavior. And so, yeah, it's awesome to see that you've had that success. And I'll ask a question, because I'm sure there's other people that will listen to this and say, have you actually gotten business, from the videos? Has someone ever reached out and been like, dude, I saw your video, and, I think I know what the answer is, but I'll let you answer.
Yeah. So quite frequently we do. That's for sure. They come specific off our YouTube channel, right? So we have a different type of form that's built into every video. And it's so that I see that if they fill out, a contact us form or quote form, or, they call us, they're saying, hey, we found you on YouTube. And we get that all the time. Because we are a local generalist, one state person, the amount of people that don't realize that when they're watching a video, even if it says New York, or I'm answering a question about New York, I get leads and inbound stuff from all over the country all the time.
I bet.
I have people argue with me when they're like, well, there's a video on your website about it. And I'm like, just because I talk about it doesn't mean I actually write that type of policy, right? Just doesn't mean that, it's education. So it's funny, but we have quite frequently the inbound leads from that. What's funny is that there's a lot of people that expect, how many leads did you get from this? How many clicks did you get through this? How many views? How many likes? How many, subscribes? How many, all these things. And if that's natural with any social media posting, right? I watch my young kids and you got kids that are similar age of teen where it's like, man, I made this post and only 3 people liked it. Like, what the heck? Like on, TikTok. And it's like, first off, that's the last thing you need to be worrying about when you have 12 followers on one of your social platforms and only 3 people liked it.
Right.
But it still boils down to the fact that that's the natural thought process that people are looking at. I learned a long time ago that the amount of people I'd run into in the local community, in the insurance community, that would talk about the video that I'm doing. It could be a high up at an insurance company that's one of our partners. And I'm at one of their events and they find me and it's the CEO and he's like, man, I love what you're doing on, this platform. I'm thinking to myself, I've never seen you, on the platform / initiate any conversation with me from watching, liking, commenting on these videos. But every time I run into you at an event, you bring it up. Right. And this was many years ago. And I said to myself, and I'm like, there's a lot of people hiding behind their screens, seeing your stuff, and you have no idea that they're doing it.
Exactly.
And if you put all of your eggs into how many people like this, is it worth me posting, or is it worth me spending time doing this? You'll quickly learn that it is, because I mentioned right in the beginning that there was times we weren't consistent, but when we are consistent with the stuff, the inbound leads fly up through, the numbers, and that we can track. Now, is everyone directly related towards a video? No. They're referrals. Or why is that person just magically referring somebody today, right? Because we're top of mind because they're seeing us all over the web. And that's the part that I have started to track, because I wanted to be able to answer that question in confidence, to say, listen, these aren't directly form fills from my YouTube channel. But when we stay consistent in posting on social media, if we post video on a regular weekly basis, here is our inbound traffic. Here is the increase in, a few other things. And because of that, we continue to do it. And like I said in the beginning, video has always been an internal piece. We use it for a lot of training. We use it a lot for customer, proposals. We use it a lot for renewals. We use it a lot for frequently asked questions. So it's not all outbound stuff. It's not all public YouTube videos, right? And we have, probably hundreds on the back end that we've built in. And those ones are extreme values to our agency. It makes things so much easier from a workflow perspective, and it allows us to continue to scale without potentially scaling even some of our, employees and the amount of people we have. So that's a huge piece to, our puzzle, is that I'm not looking for the recognition from a national basis. I'm not looking for all these people to find me and make us trending, right? I don't need a bunch of subscribers looking at insurance, because again, insurance isn't something people are subscribing for, like you mentioned.
Right.
This is something that is a tool for us, and it's been a huge tool to use a million different ways within our agency. And I think that's the piece that people get kind of chalked up on, is that they get stuck in being like, oh, I need the perfect this, I need the perfect that, I need the perfect, equipment. And it's like, no, you just need a phone and you just need to start recording. Think of one thing that you would love to put in a video to be able to send back to a prospect or a customer, right? And that way you don't need to answer it and type it out. So, I mean, these are things that we started to learn, play around with, and it's worked tremendously for us. And we continue to keep adjusting our workflows because we're seeing the value in it.
Yeah, it's awesome. I know, and it has such a compounding effect too. And to your point, it's like the video doesn't just help with new business; it can help internally with your team. You're training and onboarding new producers, new CSRs, or new staff. It's like, you can't sit with them 5 hours a day for 3 months. But if you have this library of training content, they could self-help and they could train themselves basically, and then obviously come to you for the bigger stuff. But yeah, and it's like I'm looking at your website, and if people are curious, CrowleyInsurance.com, you click on FAQs. Mike has a great page that, it's basically like what we call a point guard page or a cornerstone content page. It points people to a bunch of different internal pages on the site, blog articles and pages and stuff. But on a lot of these, you have really good videos. And I mean, there's like probably like 100 of these links and videos. But the other cool thing that you're doing that we always recommend people do is you have a video above your quote form on your main quote intake page. So when somebody comes to your website, you have this video that says like, what happens when I fill out this form? And in this day and age, people are leery of giving out emails, phone numbers, etc., when they don't know who's going to contact them, or they don't know, there's no face put with the name. And we've seen and we've tested this on other websites where once you add that welcome video or like explainer video, it can make a dramatic impact on form conversions, like dramatic. I mean, We did it on a site, GLM Insurance, Jennifer Garrix. They actually just were acquired, super nice people, but she did this too. This is a couple of years ago. And she was like, Chris, like within like a week, we were getting like, 5 leads a week. And it's like, the reality is most insurance agencies, they're not getting 3, 4, 5,000 unique visitors a month. So it's like, how do we make more of the traffic that they are getting? And video is a great way to capitalize on the traffic that you're getting. And I know that you're also a big user of our QuoteVids tool. So talk a little bit about that and kind of like, the impact. I know, like, I think you have a couple of team members that are using that. Like, how has that worked for you?
That was the tool that, brought us kind of over to Advisor Evolve. Like we'd gotten into video a little bit. We started hearing about video proposals. We heard about the tool you were building, and that was that initial kickoff. And I like to say that we were one of the first power users when that first came out from a QuoteVid perspective. Obviously, there's a lot of tools inside a Power Pack. Every single one has their own unique benefits that every agency can use. But from a consistency standpoint, the one we used the most was QuoteVids. To the point where, last week there was a running joke in a networking group that I'm a part of where they're not even watching it on their phone or their computer anymore. They're streaming it to their big screen TV and watching my video proposals. And I made a post about that because one person was telling this story about him and his wife watching it and how he was excited about insurance. And then
I saw that.
Literally the next person that I was working on that was in the group, she said that she had to do it because he said it too. So she's like, I pulled a Bradley and I threw it up on the big screen with my husband and we did the same thing. And it's like,
it's awesome.
The fact that it's even growing from, I'm going to watch this on my phone to I'm going to, stream this to my TV, but that just shows you what people are doing with video. But anyways, we've been using that for, 8 years or whatever, since you built that software. We've done thousands, and, it is the number one thing that has helped our agency grow over the years.
Awesome.
Is because that was a unique, difference maker for us if somebody was in the shopping process. But we're using it for so much more than just, I want to sell this policy. And I've told people that for years that have struggled to get involved in this. It's because they're like, oh, well, why am I going to spend an extra 15 minutes doing this when I know I'm going to sell this policy over the phone? And I'm like, because you're looking at it about only selling the policy. If you're not looking at it from a perspective of, I want to build a relationship, I want to look like the expert, I want to be able to touch on other recommendations and pieces that they're going to truly listen to versus it be some checklist at the back of the pages that you might be sliding over to them. I want them to turn around and be like, this was the coolest thing ever. I'm actually excited about my insurance and I want to refer 17 more people to Mike. Also, I feel a relationship has been built with Mike because I just stared at him for 7 minutes while he talked about my specific needs of insurance, rather than this is just the number that got emailed from me from Geico and State Farm and then this local agent. That's the whole reason we do it. I don't do it to sell a policy. I've never done it to sell a policy. I do it for people that I'm going to try and sell a policy that we're priced more, right? That has a lot of gaps and holes, and I want to explain it. But from that perspective, all the ones that we've done that we know we could sell over the phone, we could sell in a text message, an email, or writing it on a barroom napkin. I don't look to do it that way. And everybody that does are the ones that struggle, right? Because they see the time. They look, oh, this took 10 minutes. Was this worth it? I can't get my team to do it because, they know they're going to sell this anyways. We're just going to quickly do it. I had employees the same way that thought that same thing until they started utilizing it and started getting consistent with it and realizing the value it can bring from it. And now they look back and they're like, I would never do it any different. And they're not me. Yeah. They're not the ones that are on our YouTube channel. They're not normally comfortable in front of video. They're not all those things. But for our video proposals, they've learned and understand the value, and their sales have gone up. Their referrals have increased, all positive things because of it. And it's been a huge piece to the puzzle. Another thing that, I find in today's world is we are losing the ability to reach out to people. We're losing you can't even find phone numbers for insurance companies anymore. It's like you have to go to a chat feature. You have to go out to, you have to go to their frequently asked questions page and
everything's automated.
Everything is terrible. And because of that, is because, and everyone's getting frustrated. So everyone's getting frustrated with the fact that they can't get anybody on the phone. And in return, our agency is sending them this custom video of ourselves with the ability to reach right back out and talk to and ask questions. Like, how does that not look like you are just completely above and beyond everybody else in your competition? And that's why, I'll go up against anybody any day because of that. They're not going to touch the ability that we can bring to that table.
Exactly.
From a customer experience standpoint, when you kick off a relationship with a video proposal, and it's only thanks to the tool you built. So
appreciate
it. It is, it is a huge piece. And I get frustrated probably just like you with all the people that, don't utilize your tool that are, users of Advisory Evolved. The ones that, aren't Advisory Evolved clients, but they want to, as you look and you're like, what, you're missing out. What is wrong with you? I mean, we've been talking about this buzzword for 8 years now.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, and the objection is usually it's like, we're not comfortable on camera, or we don't know what to say. And, I get that, right? The thing that I always say back to people is, well, you're walking around all day, people can see your face all day. There's no difference in just sitting down and having a camera see your face too. People could see you how you are right now is how you're going to be on camera. And in terms of what to say, I mean, it's just a simple sales conversation, a quick elevator pitch explanation of the coverages. It's really not that much different than a phone call with a client, except obviously they can see visually. They can see, they get to understand why you're recommending the certain coverages or policy. And I mean, we tell the agencies a lot, if you're, and a lot of agencies probably suffer from this, right? They have producers and they have people on their team that have been there for a number of years, and they may have lost their edge to sell. People get busy, they lose motivation. And unless it's a complete layup, they're not selling it. And it's I think with QuoteVids, it makes an average salesperson or an average producer into a rock star. And if you're already great at sales, and there's some people that are just born with that personality and that knack. I mean, we've had people it's in our Facebook group, people that are we close 100% of the sales. We have 100% close ratio when we use this tool. And it's yeah, I mean, it's a tool that literally sells itself. I don't even have to try to, pitch it or sell it or whatever. I mean, the other thing too is when you think about the psychology of delivering a proposal to somebody, right? Not to overthink it, but I think this is true. The traditional way, right, is to send an email, and the email has 4 to 10 PDF attachments. Hey, John, thanks for the opportunity. I quoted your insurance with XYZ. I've attached the quotes for your review. Please take a look when you get a chance and let me know if you have any questions. We recommend option what. The issue with that is, number one, people are busy. Number two, there's, when they download these documents, if they even do, a lot of people will do it on their phone. They got to pinch and zoom to read what's on the document. Or even if they are on a desktop computer, it's they don't know what they're looking at. They don't look at quotes. They don't look at deck pages every day of their lives. They don't understand what these coverage are. And what happens? their eyes go right to the price. And what they really ultimately make their decision on is price. So they're like, well, we're going to go with this one because it's cheap, it's less expensive, or premium's lower. And it's like, that is how the relationship starts with your customer, based on price. And as we all know, that's a slippery slope. When they come to you on price, they're probably going to leave you on price. And so the video, the quote vid allows you to sort of like, go around that. Like, yes, you could still compete on price, but like, we have people that all the time, they're like, we sell higher premiums because of this. Like, we're not the cheapest option. In fact, we're $800 more per year for their home and auto, but because they actually like watched the video 3 times and understood it, now they're ready to buy. Like, and it's like the proposal got like sold them 80%. I just had to get on a quick call and do the last 20%. Like, it literally pre-sells these prospects.
I think you hit it on the head when you said people don't understand what they're looking at, right? How many people like I've talked to over the years that apologize? They're like, oh, thanks for, I just didn't understand, what this coverage means or what that means. And I look at them because they actually look truly like embarrassed that they don't understand it. And I say, you're not supposed to understand this.
Yeah,
you didn't go to school for this. You don't stare at this all day. You don't understand this. And in today's world of busyness, right, for every professional and parent and everything else, it's getting worse. It's like in the older generation, my parents, your parents type generation, they might have been a little bit more involved in understanding their insurance because 1, they had the time, 2, there was no technology to, replace their time with, and they probably had to do it. It's like kids can't even balance a checkbook anymore, and it's because they don't need to balance a checkbook anymore. Like, there's pieces to that, and you watch the confusion on their faces. And when you sell based off of a set of standards and coverages that you recommend, if you had to look at the quote and understand that, I mean, I think of like a homeowner's policy with all the bells and whistles that can get brought in on a package, and that package is listed on the policy, but not all the bells and whistles are. You think the customer understands that water backup coverage is included and it's up to this limit? Yeah. They're not going to know that. Like, my staff and I have to understand what every other carrier's policies are. So when we see deck pages and look at them, I'll sit there and be like, oh, I know that's got $5,000 in coverage built into that package because we've done our research over the years. But do other agents understand what's part of, Traveler's policy or this company's policy? The answer is probably no, right? So they're going based off of price. We had a customer that called and said, Mike, my rates have been going up and I got a quote online and it's significantly less, can you do a review? And I said, well, send me what you got. And I'm like, it's significantly less because there's no physical damage coverage. It's a liability only, auto policy. And you don't necessarily want that for your, 6-year-old vehicle that's still worth a bunch of money. And I'm like, so I'm going through this, but again, he's looking at the price because it's an email that came that has no words about what is even included. It just says, here below is your quote, and there's a bunch of coverages that you're not going to understand in a monthly and an annual price. Like, really? And that's, that's why it's so easy. This industry is the easiest industry once you get going, is because the competition of what is out there is, the bar is so low. And as soon as you start, utilizing the fact of what you do every single day, I'm just doing it in a way that more and more people are going to talk about it, right? Because we're going to record it. We're going to post about it. We're going to tell a story. We're going to use some of these pieces so that more than just that one customer understood it, we're going to talk about it, right? And speaking of that, I'm probably going to make a post now about the guy that got a quote for just liability only, just because that's a story people need to realize, right?
Yeah,
they need to understand that, just because I got a price in today's marketplace doesn't mean it's the right price. Doesn't mean it's the right coverage and the value you're getting. And you got to continue to scream it from the rooftops because, nobody is, wanting to look for insurance, right? Nobody is searching my YouTube channel just to find it. I'm not that, funny and creative, right? But I will throw a bunch of education at people in a way that they're going to understand it with common sense. And that part relates to a lot of people and it just works.
No, it's great. I mean, and dude, some of your videos have hundreds of views. Some of them are over, 1,000, 2,000. You have one that's got, over 5,000 views. I mean, just, for people out there that are like, oh, like we did a video and we only got like 80 views or 50 views. Like, just imagine a room with 80 people in it.
Right.
Like, that's a lot of people that are watching your content. And look, not all 80 of them might become a customer, but if 2 of them become a customer, there's ROI in doing that. Let's talk about tips for agents to get started. I'll go first with one quick tip. My belief is, again, this is for people that want to get into marketing videos and pushing stuff to YouTube or social media. My first tip would be start with your phone. Just start on mobile, and my tip is twofold. Start on mobile and don't do any editing to your video except like trimming the front
in the back
or the back. That's my tip. What's your tip?
Okay, that's a great one. So one of the big questions people get stuck on is, what do I talk about? Right? What should I make a video on? Right? Because it's like we deal with hundreds of different topics every single day. We have questions come at us, situations, all sorts of different things. But the moment we have to think of writing 5 or 10 different ideas down, our mind goes blank. And it's like, oh, which one? Because again, you're just immediately thinking, I need these to be I need the 10 viral posts in my head that are going to, that are going to go nuts on social media. And because of that, you blank down. So use AI tools. Go to ChatGPT and say, hey, I'm an independent agent located here. If you don't have an account that already understands you a little bit, and say, listen, here's my website. Here's this. Here's some of the products we specialize in. Give me a list of 10, 20, 30 different videos that I can use from a YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reel, TikTok, or even long form video, and give me the topics I should talk about that are really high in search, results or whatever else is. Now, all of a sudden, you have a starting point. You have a starting point and a list of things you can do. And once you see that, it's going to branch off and you're going to learn so much more of what you should be doing, to the point where now it's just going to become second nature to think, I just heard my staff answer that question for 4 straight days. This scenario just came up again and I can't, it's getting to the point where I'm getting annoyed. It's like somebody reached out to me the other day and asked why their insurance went up. Okay. And we're in year 3 of this kind of marketplace where the country is going up in rates. All right. We're not talking like Florida's going up and everybody should realize it, or California, like the whole country is going up.
Yep.
And I don't mind when somebody is like questioning some things, but to still act and feel like they are completely clueless as to why their rates are going up. I'm like, where have you been? Like, we're now at that point.
Yeah, like you're like, sir, you're 58. Is this your first day with insurance? Insurance goes up.
You watch the news? Yeah. Like, do you see what's going on? There's a lot of pieces and things that you can talk about because they're coming up frequently, but a lot of times you just got to get over that hurdle. You got to just record. I agree with just using your phone. I agree focusing on a platform too. Either I'm going to make these for YouTube. I'm going to make these for Instagram, TikTok, whatever you want to do, right? Whatever platform you feel comfortable posting. Once you start getting comfortable in one, the rest will branch off. I use an AI tool now that breaks my videos down, does a lot of editing, adds captions, moves it from horizontal to vertical, all these different things. We can trim it, can do all sorts of stuff within seconds, because I want to be able to utilize this video on different platforms without having to do the bulk of the editing like I used to, 5-6 years ago when I really got consistent. So it makes my life a lot easier and I can produce things more quickly. The other piece, especially if you're going to do things on YouTube and your website, and this was one piece I didn't mention before, where some of my videos on a long-term basis have took off and gotten a decent amount of views, or there's certain web pages on our site that continues to get a lot of their blog posts. They're on that frequently asked question page, is when I paired written blog with the Google YouTube video.
100%.
And that's where things took off for some videos. And this was, again, before AI, before I could potentially put all of those in to fix the headings and fix the topics and fix all these different things. And that's a project I should do at some point, is go and edit those. But some of them, took off. And like you said, there's 5,000, there's 110, I think there's one with 20,000 views. And it's because the blog post got looped somewhere.
Correct.
That somebody else used, and it just constantly gets viewed. And because of that, I don't care why the reason is, but what it does is, from an SEO and a Google standpoint, it's going to continue to push us up the rankings. And you start pairing that with just your regular Google My Business page. You pair that with Google reviews. You pair that with this. And all of a sudden, it's like I get referred out by somebody and they say, oh, I've never heard of him. And they search. Are you kidding? If you search me versus the 5 local agents that are within a block of my agency, and we do have 5, right? I can see 3 of their offices if I walk out to the corner, and one is 2 blocks down. It's night and day, the difference.
Yeah. And so you brought up a good point that I want to touch on real quick. So one reason I say to start with your phone is because obviously you can push that content to 10 different places. just from your phone. You don't have to mess with an editor. You don't have to mess with like pushing and pulling files back and forth. One thing we've been preaching to agencies, your Google business profile is in many ways almost more important than your website. It's a fact. It's the Google business listings or the map pack or the 3-pack. People see those before they see the organic results. A majority of organic traffic is going to the Google business profiles, but people might not be able to really see this. But in the in Google Maps, if you go into Google Maps and you go into your Google business, you have the ability to upload videos and photos to your Google business profile. This is something that very few people are doing, but my advice is to treat your Google business profile like any other social media network. Treat it like Facebook. If you're going to upload the video to Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, upload it to your Google business profile as well from your phone. Google rewards businesses that are active with their Google business profile.
I didn't know you could do the videos.
Yeah, so you can push what Google calls it an update, but basically it's almost like a micro blog post. It's just a way for you to push content out to the Google business profile. And we've seen this. We actually post content on people's Google business. We have like a paid service for like SEO and local SEO and ads and whatnot. We do that, and we've seen people's metrics just over the course of 6 months go up and up and up and up. And it's from posting content to their Google business. Sorry, my camera's like out of whack here. Here we go.
It was looking at your phone.
Yeah, I was looking at my phone. But that's another cool tip. So post the video content to the Google business. You also mentioned something too that I think is worth mentioning. If you do get to the point where you're editing videos on desktop and you want to sort of take that next step or that next leap to a more like, a more involved setup where like right now I'm using a DSLR or a mirrorless Sony camera as my webcam. For these videos, I just have it set up stationary, and I'm using a tool called Riverside. I would highly recommend this tool. I looked at a bunch of them. I did my research. Like I ended up doing this. There's another one that's very similar to this. There's a couple different ones that are similar to this, but this tool has so many different use cases. But for like marketing videos for like YouTube or your website, Riverside's cool because like you just talked about the app that does like captions, it auto edits. Yeah. Dude, this thing is awesome. So once we're done, with this episode, I do very little editing. I will go through and like I click a button. They have this thing called AI Producer, which will go in and remove out it'll remove a bunch of dead space if there is any. I think we've been like blabbering the whole time, so there probably won't be any, but it'll remove dead space. So if you're getting started and you're kind of like slow with your video, it'll do captions. It does like all kinds of stuff. And it allows me to produce these episodes within like 24 hours. They're edited. They're on my YouTube channel. They're being distributed. This is a great tool for like just webcam explainer videos. Like if you're going to sit down and say, what's the difference between a deductible and a deduction? Because people think the word deductible is like people will be like, well, how much is my deduction? And we're like, no, I think what you mean is deductible, right, sir?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, deductible. But like for these style of like what they would call a talking head video, Riverside's awesome, dude. I'm not affiliated with them. I mean, it's a great tool.
I know it's been a good tool for podcasts like this, especially, when you're doing this kind of stuff. And that's awesome. They've added some of these other features over these last few years since the last time I was in it.
Yeah.
I should check that out. I don't do a lot with my webcam. I do most of it from my phone. And some of that just is the flexibility of being able to move in different areas and do different things. And then even allows me to just shoot it from different places. Like you said, once it's on my phone, I can post it to different places. Once you get going in it, it becomes easier. And, we have a small little group that has started to, really push each other a little bit more this year in 2025, depending on when somebody's listening to this. But like, some of your users that, some have done video in the past, some haven't, some wanted to be more consistent. Like we have a side group chat right now of pushing each other to post a new video every week. And, we push each other, be like, where's your video? Like everybody else has got one out. Like, where's yours? And it's funny. We're not trying to peer pressure people, but we are definitely trying to use it as a way to do it and push them. And the group's growing. Like new people want to jump in. It's like the cool thing to do. And somebody wants to jump into the cool kids club. And it's like, no, we're just really just trying to push everybody because our days go by so fast. There's busy. There's 100 things going on. It's easy to look and be like, oh, I didn't do anything for 3 months. And it's like, well, if you don't have a reason to do it, even if the reason is peer pressure, peer pressure your way in to do it because it is going to pay off.
Yeah. Yeah. We have people in our Facebook group too that, people are posting videos in our Facebook group, and I know that it's creating some FOMO amongst some of our other users. So
it's funny. It's funny when you see it and you see the people wanting to, start doing it. I think I'm going to get into video now. It's like, why? Yeah. Because there's a couple posts that people did it, and it's like, no, this has been going on for years. Where you been? Like, come on now.
I know, it's funny. It works, man. One more tip from Mike Crowley on video before we wrap this thing up, man. What's one more you think off the top of your head that agents could take and run with?
Doesn't need to be perfect. I say that is the number one thing that people get concerned with. I did a presentation to a couple insurance friends teams recently. It's a couple agents that are users of your product, but more importantly, they just are trying to get their sales team to be more comfortable in video. Whether it's using your QuoteVids tool because they're not using it and they know I was a user, or is just people that want to build into their sales process, their service process, video. And as much as the owner of the agency and the friends of ours that are there understand the value of it, if they're not in the middle of pushing it out themselves and they have 10, 12, 15 different sales producers and they're trying to lead a team, they're not selling like they used to, right? So they're not in the middle of doing some of this stuff. I still am. Like, I'm still fully involved in that, and they knew that. And they're like, maybe hearing it from somebody else will be helpful. So I did a presentation recently to two of them, and I said to both teams, and I said, guys, too many times everybody's thinking that things need to be perfect. Yeah. I am the last person in the world that probably people in my high school would have thought that I was going to be on stage talking at an insurance conference or be on video, constantly. That just wasn't part of my normal personality. And at the very end of the presentation, I put a screenshot of an old video that I did when my kids were probably 2 and 4, right? And they were in it talking in the video, right? As a piece. And I said, listen, if my kids can do this, you can do this. Like, it's gotten to the point where everyone's so scared of what I'm going to look like, what's my hair look like, what am I going to sound like? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Half the time people aren't watching the full thing anyways, right? And it's like, this is insurance videos. They're either going to be a piece that people are going to learn and want to talk about, or it's going to be something that it's just going to put somebody top of mind. Put you top of mind to somebody else, right? So stop worrying that it's not going to be perfect. Utilize it for the tool that it can help present, and keep adding new pieces on. Start with doing simple renewal review videos instead of going to one of your commercial clients' office for the 10th year in a row to talk about the same things during their busy schedule. Do a 10-minute video, go over the renewals, talk about a few things, and then move it on. And they can still schedule a call with you, but you just answered a bunch of their things, and they can watch it at 8 o'clock at night rather than in the middle of the day when you want to be able to go present the renewals. I tell you, doing a little bits there, seeing the value it brings, you're going to get addicted to doing it and finding new ways to add to your agency because you realized the value it brings to your clients, or, the growth potential within your agency in general. So that's the biggest things. Don't worry about what it looks like, how good it is. It doesn't need to be perfect. Go look at some of my first ones. They were absolutely pathetic, and I still posted them. And some of them at this point now have thousands of views. And I'm like, why are people watching that video? It's terrible.
Why?
I got to remove it.
That's hilarious. Dude, solid goal, man. I appreciate you, man, coming on, sharing your story. For those that are listening to the podcast, make sure that you check out Mike on YouTube. So just go to YouTube and just search Crowley Insurance. You'll find him right away. Ton of really good examples of what you could be doing in your agency with video. And don't forget also too, while you're on YouTube, head over to Advisory Evolved, subscribe to the podcast, and check some of our stuff out too. Mike, thank you for jumping on, man. It's been long overdue, and I'm sure you'll be back on here again as you continue to sort of push things forward in your agency, man. And you have a lot of knowledge that agencies can take away and learn from. So thank you very much. And for those listening, we will catch you on the next episode of Rise and Bind.
Awesome. Thanks,
Peace.
Chris.
Yep. Thank you, brother.